Hello and welcome to film. I'm going to go over some of the issues, some of them caused by me, that we have been working with. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the film portfolio and the film portfolio structure. Most of you have already done this. Most of you have already done about 90% of the work on this. And for some of you, it's just going to take a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of refinement, and to make your film portfolios that much better. So the one thing to think about is some of you are not structuring your film portfolios, and I just want to share with you the structure of the film portfolio per the good people over at IB. So the basic components that you want to have are inquiry, action, and reflection, and I will go into those in more detail later. The other thing that I want you to look at is the sample table of contents. Obviously, you're not going to have as many clips that are in this table of contents, but what I do want you to understand is you need to have a table of contents. For IB just loves to have that sort of structure in all of their papers. That includes your extended essay, that includes your history IA that you'll work on next year. But the basic components that you do need are your film production role and the name of the clip. They've added in a short little synopsis of the film, and why not? That just shows that you have a pretty good head for structure. So we're going to first look into inquiry. Inquiry is where you think about the things that inspired you to make the film itself, other than the fact that you had an assignment to do. So up there you'll see that this area right here, this is directly from IB. And then over here, this is kind of where I've interpreted it a little bit for you. So the first thing that you want to do is think about the films that you have that have inspired your films, or films that have inspired you. And they do not necessarily all have to be films that we watched in class. And this is where you really could make your paper a lot more robust by using some primary and secondary sources to identify how your role works. So let's say you're an editor. If you're a Martin Scorsese fan, then your favorite editor in the entire world is Thelma Schoonmaker. She is a fantastic editor, and she has given many, many interviews. And so you want to look those up and incorporate those into your paper. If you're a director, obviously, if you're a big Spielberg fan, you want to look up interviews from him, you want to look up articles about him, and there's thousands of them. This is where you can really, really make your paper great by incorporating your research. So you want to talk about what you did to prepare for your role, especially given the fact that you're 16, 17 years old and, this is your first time doing these things. So, let's hear all about that. And you can add in appropriate documentation. The next part about this is the action. The action part is where you discuss how you developed your film. What did you do, during the production of the film, during the editing of the film, if you're the writer, during the writing of the film. And I know that I urge you to keep a diary, and some of you have just kind of thrown this diary into your film portfolio. And that doesn't necessarily help out. The diary was just meant there to help jog your memory. Some of you, some of these films that we made in September or December, you might have forgotten a lot. Text your friends, text the people that you work with, and see, if you can remember some things that maybe you didn't necessarily remember when you did your original portfolio. So essentially, all you're doing here is discussing your role as a filmmaker during the actual process of the making of the film, or in the screenwriter during the process of writing the screenplay. So that this is, so that's a good part. Now, finally, reflection. I think that this is probably the most important part of your paper, and I think that this is the one part of the paper that many of you have kind of forgotten about. And this is where you can account for any mistakes that are seen in your production. Somebody didn't wear the proper costume that day. It was raining, or you didn't have permission to film here. And some of you have done that to a great extent. But this is kind of where you want to talk about, oh, wow, I really wanted to do this, but I couldn't do this. Um, and this is also where, let's say, for instance, your teacher told you all year that you could use copyright or non-copyright music, and then at the last minute pull the plug on that. And this is where you can account for that. So any sort of thing that you need to account for, you can and should account for this. I want to go back before I go on to this. You really want to start incorporating some documentation, and this could be done in either the inquiry part or it can be done in the action part. But this is where I need to see some screen grabs, and some of you have done fantastic jobs, especially the people that have edited. They've done a really fantastic job of showing us their editing process through the appropriate documentation. We need to see some screen grabs and for you to discuss those screen grabs in accordance with what you did in your film production role. For screenwriters, this is extremely important because you want to have like little screen grabs of the screenplay, not necessarily just throw your screenplay into as an addendum on your portfolio. And this is where you can talk about structure. This is where you can talk about your slug lines, etc. Which I think the more you discuss, the better off you are. This final slide is about the due dates. And some things have changed, so please pay a bit more attention. So on April 10th, all final film portfolios are due. This means I need all 3 films with the blank slate. And if you don't know what that is, please contact me and I will explain it in a bit more detail. There's going to be 3 ways that we can put in the films. You can do it via Dropbox. I don't know quite how that will work. Maybe it will. You could do it through the Wolfson IB channel, but I know that we've been having some issues with access to that. Or you can put all 3 of them on a flash drive, bring it to school, and I will pick it up later. The final film portfolios. This is the final film portfolio, and that needs to be uploaded to Focus and in the 4th quarter. If you've already done it for the 3rd quarter, then just re-upload it if you're not going to make any changes. On April 20th, the final textual analysis is due. You will also upload this to IB, and instructions will follow for that. On April 25th, the final comparative study is due, and you can upload that to YouTube, or you can, but this will also be uploaded to IB. I don't know if this sounds cryptic or not, but this is whenever people have submitted things to IB, they have forgotten to press submit. So please be sure that when you're ready that you do press submit. I hope this has been helpful. Obviously, if you do need any more instruction or help, I am available via Teams and Remind. So please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much.